We're unboxing a Casio, but it's not the one you think. It is the WS1700H. I'm still waiting for the Rangeman, the G-Shock Rangeman to come. It's in the mail somewheres, alright? But, in the meantime, let's unbox this one and compare it to all the rest of our G-Shocks. And we'll have all these other G-Shocks here to witness the opening of another one.
Roxy's trying to get a G-Shock.
Alright, we have a little bit of help from Roxana. Anyways, I don't believe there'll be a burlap sack in this Casio. I think it will be a plastic bag in which this watch is ensconced. Let's see. Yes! Alright. Now, I ordered this directly from Casio. There's no price tag here. I believe I spent about $40 on this. So, it's a Casio, but I wouldn't really call it an El Cheapo Casio. Because to me, it has to be 20. But wow, it is sharp. It reminds me of. Alright, don't let her eat that. Looks a little bit of like a 5900. Let's take it off and let's see if it even fits. I have to remove the Mudman GW9500. But let's tear off the plastic. Ready? Everybody, shh! We're going to listen to the plastic. No making noise. Was that good AMSR or what? Alright, Denise just put hot coffee here. Alright, thank you. There's no way that this could end in disaster on account of the baby being here, and now the baby's being taken away.
Bye, Roxy!
Alright. So this one, it kind of looks like Walter's G-Shock from the Big Lebowski, but this is just a regular Casio. Like I said, I spent about $40, and it looks really sharp. My first impression is that, like, the dial, you know, the face, with all these little complications, these little gadgets and stuff, looks really cool. And let me get the official pointer pen of the Jim Kinkade YouTube channel, which is the Zebra F701. So let's start off with this bezel, which has raised portions and lowered portions. And the lowered portions are flush with the screen, which is what I like to see on my watches. The Mudman is like that. And the advantage of this design is that the raised bezel, portions of the bezel, protect the screen from when it falls or hits something. And the lower portions allow drainage of mud and fluids. So right off the bat, this bezel, I like it. The buttons, let me just press the buttons.
Does this need to charge?
Yeah. These are kind of like old-fashioned buttons. I'm having trouble getting the flesh of my thumb on there. I haven't used my nail, which commenters like to point out is dirty. Yes, it's dirty. The reviews on my channel are all done with hands with dirt under the nails, because this is like a blue-collar working man type of review. I call it the Beater Watch vlog, and we started the Beater Watch pod. If you wanted podcast experience for the information we present here. Now, alright, here's the moment of truth. Before we look at anything else, I got to get out of the way. If this is good for a big wrister, because my wrist is about 8.5 inches, and it fits. I got it onto notch number 2 from the end. So, 8.5 inches definitely fits. Could you go bigger? You could go a little bit bigger, but then you'd be on the last notch, and you may not be able to get it into the keeper. So that's good. It's not advertised as an extended wristband watch, okay? The AE 1500 is advertised as an extended wristband, as well as this watch, W737. This one was advertised as extended wristband. This is my first look at it, but it's kind of hard to see, but this top right blue dial is an analog watch. It's the time displayed with the an hour hand and a minute hand. So for those of us baby boomers who look at analog watches, I'm a 40-year-old boomer, right? So I still use analog watches. We have an analog watch here, don't we? Well, we did. Someone took it. Where'd the analog watch go? Oh, you know what? I think it's still in this bag. Yep. It's so light and diminutive, it was hiding in there. This is what they call an analog watch. Did you kids know that?
Yep.
Can you tell time on these?
Yeah.
Yeah? Alright. If you prefer to read this this watch in the top right corner, the analog, the digital, it's digital, but it's mimicking an analog watch. It's kind of difficult to read, though, to be honest, because the hour and minute hand are about as thin as the bullseye, like the crosshairs pattern in there. It looks crisp, looks clear. It fades a little bit at certain angles, but face on, I have to hold it away so I can see. Face on. All right. So this watch right off the bat has a similar problem to the Mudman. Where's my Mudman? In that you look at it square on, it's a little bit dim, and then at some different angle, it's crisp. Look, you're looking at it straight on, it's a little bit dim. You turn it just this much and it gets to be a lot crisper. I think that has to do with the polarizing light effect. And I'm sorry to see that right off the bat. Like I said, this was just released. I just pulled this out of the box. This may bother some people. You know, like right there, see how it's crisp? And right there, it's a little bit faded. This watch has a tide graph and a moon graph. So, right here is the tide graph. And there's the moon graph. I'd have to review the watch's manual. Look, it has a big manual. I like to see that. I like manuals. I mean, I know it's a joke on the unboxing when... Wait a minute, a fishing timer. Guys, you can use this for fishing. Unbelievable. Maybe that's what this is. I said that this was a watch for the time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is for fishing. You know what? I'm such a dummy. I shouldn't even say what all these things are for. I don't even know. I just unboxed it and I'm acting like a 2-second expert on a watch. This band feels pretty sturdy. It feels, you know, better than WS1700. This watch, I've said, not a good beater watch. It just doesn't feel that the pins feel like they'd pop.
I'm gonna fix the timer.
These pins feel pretty solid. I'm surprised. They feel really solid. Where's the AE1500? Here it is. Yeah, they feel... Alright, so this new watch, WS1700, these pins feel at least as sturdy as the AE1500s. The strap and my initial impression of its ruggedness is positive. The information I supplied may not be correct as far as that being the time, because I just saw on the box that it has a fishing timer. And I have no idea what that's about, but welcome to YouTube where a 300-pound man can review fitness watches. Where's my fitness watch? I guess Denise has it, but here's one. The WH5600. This I think I mentioned earlier. This one kind of looks like the G-Shock DW5900, the one that Walter wears. Instead of having the 3 eyes at the top, it has a tide graph, a moon graph, and this dial, which at first I assumed was just the time, since the main digital time is 10:27, and yeah, this looks like 10:27. But then I see on the box it has a fishing timer, which I have no idea what that's about. I know that some Protracks have some fishing timers, and I know that there was like a Casio that had like a game with fish or some type of fish related thing at the top. So I don't know what this is about, but let me just press the mode button a bunch of times. We'll see if anything interesting pops up. I guess that is an alarm. I don't know, a stopwatch. All right. All right, stopwatch is rolling. It has tenths of a second and 100ths of a second in the top right hand corner. Already a better stopwatch than the DWH5600 and the GBDH2000, just based on the fact that this LCD screen has 100ths of a second and tenths of a second.
How do you change the time on it?
And this is a timer.
Okay.
And
Mama,
here's the alarm. And this is the second time zone. And this is the main time. So what's this screen? This must be the fishing timer. I'm gonna say I don't know, or maybe it's the high tide. I don't know, guys. I'm just finding out about this as you are. But just right off the bat, my first impressions of this watch is that this is pretty good. Feels pretty solid. It costs a little bit more than the AE 1500. Comparing the size, it's actually a very similar size. And pretty much the same idea, which I was explaining earlier about the raised portions and lowered portions of the bezel. But the AE 1500 has a bigger dial with bigger numbers. And look how faded that is right now. So the AE 1500 right off the bat is bigger and clearer. And the WS1700 has smaller numbers, some more complications, you know, all these little gadgets. In the watch world, I think they're called complications, but there's all these little bells and whistles. When you get the watch at the right angle where it's crisp, it seems like it's pretty easy to read. And it has, did you hear that beeping? So as you scroll through the different functions, there's beep, and when you turn to the main time, the beep is a different pitch.
It's like that on all the watches.
Not all of them, Brian.
It's like that on my watch.
Well, on your watch, yeah, maybe.
Daddy,
all right, let me extricate the manual, because obviously I have some reading to do. Obviously, I am ignorant of the functions for this watch. Okay? But I would say that it seems so far to be really durable. And it cost $40 from Casio. However, it might come down. You know, maybe after a while, the price of this watch will come down into the El Cheapo category, which is, you know, closer to $20. All right? And at that point, some of you may have a hard time deciding between the WS1700 and the AE 1500. Although this watch is so battle proven that it would be difficult for the WS1700 to unseat the AE 1500. This one is a fan favorite for good reason. $22 is what I spent for the AE 1500, and it's like, for that money you get a lot of watch. At $40, this is just my first impression, okay? But at $40, unless you need the tide or moon graph, you may be better off the AE 1500, right? But again, you get the tide graph, the moon graph, and this time. Now, I live in the desert. I live in West Texas. There's no tide here. All right. I remember watching a documentary, you know, back in the 80s or 90s or whatever, where they took like oysters from Boston and started driving across the country. And then when they got to the Mississippi River, the oysters were opening up as if the Mississippi River was a shore, like, as if there was high tide there. So I think that a lot of animals that respond to the tide are responding to the moon's gravity, right? So the tide graph may be useful even in the desert, you know, for understanding the behavior of fish or other animals. So a hunter or a fisher may untap that secret power with this watch using the tide. In the moon graph, I know a lot of, there's actually been more than a few commenters asking me about the moon graph on different watches. For example, the DWH5600 has the almanac feature, which will tell you sunrise, sunset, and moon phase, which it won't go to now because the batteries are low. And the Mudman does not have a moon graph. It has an almanac, which tells you the sunrise and sunset, but not the moon phase. All right. So, $40 watch, it tells you the moon phase. If that's information you're interested in, then yeah, I think that you do well with this watch. Okay. Anyways, here's the almanac feature on a watch that is fully charged. This brand new module. All right. Made my pointer pen. There's the moon phase at the top. All right. So obviously, on the WS1700, you're going to have to enter your latitude and longitude or your coordinates or wherever you are so that it could tell you an accurate tide in moon phase. Alright, and I'm going to have to read up on how to do that in a good old-fashioned paper manual. I pre-ordered the Rangeman, and I'm a cheapskate, so I got economy shipping. Alright, so Lord willing, it will arrive within the next few days. But I can't really use a tide graph as a tide graph. All right, my brother can. My brother, he lives in Boston. All right, so I'm gonna keep this watch in good shape because I'm gonna send it to my brother and have him go down to the beach and test the tide graph. All right. Now I do not think my brother is allowed at Duxbury Beach anymore. It's kind of a long story. Don't really want to talk about it at a public forum. So he may only be allowed at Nantasket Beach, which the locals call Brockton by the Sea. Alright? I know my brother could go there. Wollaston Beach may be closer to where he lives now, but if you were to go there during low tide, I think the smell might drive him away. Alright? And we'll keep it in good shape. I'm just going to wear it around the house, maybe make a few wrist roll videos. Some guys collect watches, I collect watch videos, alright? By the way, here's Helen's new G-Shock. She won it in the Cozy contest. How's this one holding up, Helen?
Good.
She likes it, alright. I like this one. It's like right here, it's clear, right here it's a little dim. Maybe it's this light. So stay tuned. I'll give you a few more updates before I send this to my brother. And I don't think my brother is one who will read the manual. So what I'll do is I'll read the manual, and then I'll kind of like set the watch up for him and give him a little bit of a rundown. But it's pretty cool. The WS1700. And remember guys, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father except through him. I'm Jim Kinkade. Thanks for watching.